Hey everybody, it's the Cannon Cruisers. I'm JD.
And I'm Randy.
And today we're here to talk to you about a movie called The Ambassador. Should we just go straight to the trailer, Randy?
Let's do this false misdirect here and let's put on the trailer!
A land at war. A chance for peace. A man of action. An American ambassador.
Young people talking together without violence. That's what tomorrow's all about.
There are those who want him silenced.
It's not your business to embarrass our government.
There are those who want him dead.
Who is Stone?
He came to eliminate the ambassador.
His wife becomes a pawn in a political game of scandal, blackmail, and terror.
And we're back. What did you people think of that trailer?
That movie was the most action-packed, awesome trailer movie I've ever seen in my life!
Oh, was it? It's so good. I almost wish that was the movie we saw. But it's not.
Let's roll things back a little bit here.
Roll back.
And this is the basic plot of this film. And tell me if it sounds anything like that trailer we just watched. Blackmailers have the U.S. ambassador to Israel's wife on film with her PLO lover. Oh, and also he solves the problems with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in the Middle East.
For some reason. I don't think we should explain anything else because it would go way too down a rabbit hole of this, that, and the other.
This movie is incredibly political, but first we're still doing that's the summary of the film. That's basically the film is just simply there's a blackmail plot coupled against the Middle Eastern conflict. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of how would you say over the top speechifying?
Yes.
To the younger generation. The movie actually. If I were to tell you this movie was an old person political thriller, you'd have to believe me. So in our lead role, we have Robert Mitchum, who was about 60-something, who was in his 60s in the movie playing U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Peter Hacker. You had Ellen Burstyn playing his wife, Alex Hacker. She was in her 50s. You had Rock Hudson in his final film role as Frank Stevenson, head of security for the U.S. Embassy. Also in his 60s. And then you get to the other... Well, you also had Donald Pleasance, who you may remember from Halloween. And Halloween 2. And then you get to the non-American cast. And you get to Fabio Testi as Mustafa Hashimi, Alex's lover and agent of the PLO.
Yep.
And that's really the only ones you really need to know. Oh, and Shmulik Kraus as Stone, a KGB assassin.
Who doesn't actually do anything.
He's there to menace, and he doesn't really do anything.
Very anticlimactic. So, might as well just get straight into general impressions then.
Yeah, this movie was probably one of the slowest... No,
it's not a long movie. It's
okay, the movie clocks in about an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half. It felt a lot longer, mostly because the movie actually starts off fairly quick paced. You have this action sequence with the ambassador trying to broker a peace in the Middle East,
basically being
in
himself.
secret. And when they're attacked by, I don't remember who they were attacked by. They were just attacked.
Just say terrorists.
By terrorists, yes. And meanwhile, while that's going on, this is intercut with scenes of his wife having an affair with this Hashimi fellow of the PLO.
Which is kind of unneeded considering they show the same footage later anyway.
Yeah, and at that point where we discovered that she's being filmed. So this is already off to a good start. It's like, okay, this is going to be a high-octane, old-person political thriller. You're expecting with the likes of Rock Hudson and Robert Mitchum to be a little bit more of a noirish film, the feel to this film. And it never quite gets there on that front.
Not at all.
It's like after that, the film just kind of takes a nosedive into...
Talking.
Yeah, he just liked talking. He liked speechifying.
Talking, breaking into speeches, telling other people about things that we already know about. It's going in circles. It's a very, very slow-paced film. Not very exciting. And that's fine, I guess, but that's not exactly the movie that was set up at the beginning. It's a very boring movie.
Yeah, and it doesn't even do its actual drama part of it very well. Like the thriller aspect of it is just kind of left by the wayside at some point. And
well, you can go into it with the whole assassin plot. When he's introduced at the beginning, he threateningly points his gun at somebody who wants to hire him and says, "Get out or I'll shoot you." And that's as threatening as the guy ever gets through the whole movie. And the entire movie is him following around Robert Mitchum's character.
In a Looney Tunes-esque thing.
Aiming at him, but never shooting.
Yeah, not for stupid reasons. Like, oh wait, he stepped slightly back, so now I can no longer get a beat on him. Yep. Oh, he stepped behind that tree, I can't get a beat on him. That's
all he does through the entire movie. And at the very end, when he's finally lining up a shot, he gets shot and killed by someone else.
All of the drama, all of this political thriller is very much taking a backseat to... This very much felt like the writers, who I actually forgot to list, which in this case was just a man who's named Max Jack, who I'm convinced isn't a real person, but I'll get back into that later. And uncredited, according to Wikipedia, a Ronald M. Cohen. It's like you get the idea that it's like they wanted to make a movie where they wanted to make their political statement heard, and completely killing any plot momentum.
It's a situation of message overriding entertainment, and it was to the film's detriment, because even the trailer, which you heard at the beginning,
makes it seem like a very stereotypical, what you would consider stereotypical canon film.
Which probably would have been better if it was, because it was actually competently executed. The actors were good. The direction style was good, but...
Well, yeah, the actors would have to be good when you have frickin' Robert Mitchum, Rock Hudson, and Ellen Burstyn.
And imagine those stars in those roles you saw in the trailer. That would have been an exciting, action-packed, even if it wasn't action scenes of shooting people, probably would have been more faster paced, more back and forth. It would have been more interesting. What we got instead was a lot of talking and not really much happening, except when the plot decided something should happen.
And also the plot gets a little convoluted. Just to give you an idea, I'm not going to read the whole plot to you, but I'm going to just tell you, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... 8 paragraphs to explain this plot on Wikipedia.
Yes. And it's an hour and a half movie.
And it's like, it's not even twists and turns. It's like, there's so much stuff trying to go on between the speechifying.
Oh, yeah. It's not the movie...
Oh, and I also want to boil down the entire speechifying to just simply, it's like, why can't we talk? That is literally what every speech says is why can't we talk?
Which ends up being a hole in the entire story at the end, but they wanted a happy ending, but we'll get to that one in a little bit. For general impressions, it was a decently made movie, but it wasn't my sort of thing at all.
It was a competently made movie.
Yeah, it was competent, but it wasn't my sort of movie. Mostly because, as I said, the movie promised in the beginning is not the movie delivered.
It's like
I couldn't get over that.
The director, J. Lee Thompson, seems to be a competent director. It's just, it's like you said, it seems to be, It
was a film.
Yeah, it's like another one it's another film that I'm almost indifferent to again.
It was missing flavor.
That's it. It was bland. It's just, there's nothing that's...
And as you saw in the trailer, that would have been some flavor the film actually needed. So obviously the producers behind the film made the trailer that way because they knew it was missing that extra kick that would really pull.
And then trying to be provocative but being able to boil down every single one of their arguments to is like, why can't we just talk?
Yeah, which again is a point of putting message over entertainment, because those scenes literally were in the middle of nothing happening, where they just decided, you know what, let's talk about the Iranian-Palestine situation, Israeli-Palestine situation, by just sitting down talking about it while these other plot lines are going, while somebody's trying to shoot him.
Like that part, that made sense there. Like that was one scene, but it's the fact that it happens several times.
It happens several times, and every time is using an excuse for basically the person to say, we should kill the other side, and then them saying, well, but you did these sort of things. Well, that's because we hate them because of this, and where they're going with this.
Yeah.
And it made the point the first time, but they had to do it at least 4 times in the film. Twice to crowds, and 2 other times to individuals who are affiliated with the parties.
You also forgot the one directly to the camera.
And there was...
You forgot the one directly to the camera where he's calling out to young people. They believed that young people were going to go see this movie and telling them that, why can't we just talk?
Yeah, that's a very old person message of... the young people will listen to our generation and solve all the problems, which is a very pandering message I don't like. But that aside, those are just general impressions for me. How about you, Randy? Would it be the same?
Like I said, it's another movie that I just found that's like tasteless. It's bland. It's very, very not very a distinct film. It's like I kind of like. Well, it's like I'll let this roll over a little bit into my highlight. I kind of liked what Rock Hudson did. I liked the acting. I kind of liked what Rock Hudson did. Yes. I didn't really like what Robert Mitchum did. He wasn't really served well.
No,
but Rock Hudson, for the couple of things he did, like I said, there's that little fight sequence in the middle of the movie, like very brief. But his guy's in his 60s, and it's not like modern day type of shooting where you can make them seem like a young man again. He was doing all his own stuff here.
No Liam Neeson 49 cuts in a single scene.
Exactly. And like I said, he worked with what he was given. And it's a shame that this is what he went out on as his last film. But like I said, he was kind of like the highlight of the film.
Yeah, that's pretty much my same thoughts for highlights.
I mean, he shot
Performances were
Hook
well done.
Hand from Enter the Ninja off of a boat while trying to interrogate him.
It's one of the villains from Enter the Ninjas in the movie as one of the, I guess you could call him bad guys.
Zaki Noy, he plays Zayev.
As I said, the highlights is that it was well done for what it was. It's just what it was not my sort of thing. And which would roll into lowlights was my sort of thing are movies where there's a story and there are characters and they work to find a solution for the problem at the end. The problem with this film was that there was that message, and the message ends up taking center stage from the central plot. And as I said, I don't like plots where it boils down to the main character having to lecture people on the right thing to do. And
it's because when you
times.
think about it, when you break it down to what the real plot is, the whole entire Middle Eastern conflict is the background to the story. Yeah. It's the setting of the story.
That's what I wanted from the film.
And you can get a lot of stuff coming out of that even without having the speech.
Yeah, the very first scene of the movie when that whole conflict breaks out, that sets the whole background of the film.
It has it has a noir plot, which is supposed to simply be high-ranking official is being blackmailed by nefarious individuals who, in this case, are associated with terrorists because his wife was cheating on him with the leader of the organization, of the rival organization.
Yes, and considering the setting, it's a whole powder keg that could go off at any moment, so they have to be very discreet, very stealthy about it.
But that's not what it is. They try to push. No. They ended up doing the reverse, where they're trying to push the blackmail angle to be the setting, while the setting trying to be the plot.
Yes, because they barely touch upon the blackmail, and it randomly pops up several times for different characters later on in the film, and it
basically was just there to give Rock Hudson something to do while Robert Mitchum made a speech.
Which is a shame too, because as I said, Rock Hudson did a great job in the film. It would have been nice to have more of him.
Like for my low light for the film, it's the pacing. The movie is very, very leisurely paced, and not in like a 70s format either, or your typical political thriller format either. It's just very, very leisurely paced.
Yeah, very leisurely paced. That's where we got the whole old person thing from, also from the messaging, but also from the where here's a little nugget of information and we're going to expound upon it for about 5 minutes.
They expound upon everything for too long.
Yeah, everything.
It's like they go over every clue, everything, and then they spread every clue out into like their own 5-10 minute thing, dragging it out what's going on.
Yeah, it doesn't suit the plot well. And I think that's pretty much the sum of my thoughts of the movie, is that it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it's like, so if you go into ratings, it's like I said, it's like another movie we watched recently. It's a very, I'm left indifferent. It's like I can only give this a 2. Yeah. It's like I don't feel greatly about anything in it. It wasn't a good movie, but it does. The only thing I can give it is that it does show the breadth of the catalog that we are digging into here. Mm-hmm. That we can go from something like what we just watched earlier, which was Hot Resort, to a raunchy sex comedy, to a deep, quote unquote, deep political action old person thriller.
And then to Missing in Action 2, which we'll be getting to
soon. It was a straight thriller, to things we did in the first season that were straight up slashers and musicals and everything under the sun. So it's an interesting show of the breadth of what we've been watching. But I can only give it a 2 on its own merits.
Yeah. It's a well-made film, but the problems with it do hold it back just too much for me. It's a movie I'd like to give a 3 to, but I can't do it.
I honestly thought, like what was it? For about the first third of the movie, I was kind of like, okay, this isn't bad. Yeah. Even you were kind of like, okay, this isn't bad. And then the third speech happens, and after that, you're like, what?
Yeah.
And then you're like, the fourth one, you're like, what? And then the speech to the camera, what?
And then they bring up the blackmail plot. Oh yeah, that was supposed to be the main story at some point. It never ended up being the main story. And it kind of reminds you that this isn't the movie that you were hoping it was going to be. That's the biggest takeaway from this movie.
So just some other stuff that I had. Now I'm going to go into like the nitty gritty, like the production wise. Apparently there's some slight issues with the production. Mm-hmm. The script itself. This is why I said I believe Max Jack is a pseudonym. I'd have to go back and double check it because I don't see any other listings for this screenwriter. Yeah. It's because the movie was was based originally on the 1974 crime novel by Elmore Leonard called 52 Pickup.
Mm-hmm. Which I think that Canada made another movie out of.
No, I think another studio. Yeah, no, it was remade later on by somebody else. But the changes they had Elmore Leonard make to his original script were so much so that it was no longer anything like his novel. Mm-hmm. Like, they transplanted the location, they changed the plot lines around. I'm assuming that's where like a lot of speech line comes out of.
Probably.
To the point where he's no longer credited on screenplay. He receives a story based on story credit. So you can tell this movie they were already trying to go for something else, but trying to get the prestige of having it be like based on a legendary crime writer's work. Like here's the quote from him. He goes, "I wrote 2 drafts and then told him to write another. No, sorry. I wrote 2 drafts and then told them to get another writer. They did, and the result was The Ambassador, which has nothing to do with 52 Pickup. It has none of my characters, none of my situations, nothing. But they still owed me for the screen rights and had to pay up before they could release the picture."
Yeah, it was very typical of Hollywood about the time, and technically still now, when they had adaptation rights for something and they end up making a movie that has nothing to do with the source material because they wanted to do their own thing. And I've never read the Elmore Leonard book, but I assume it's probably more coherent than the film was.
So I'm going to give you a brief part of the synopsis from the movie that's made in 1986 by Frankenheimer, based on the book that's called 52 Pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Mitchell is a successful industrialist living in the suburbs of Los Angeles whose wife Barbara is running for city council while he is having an affair. Harry is confronted by 3 blackmailers demanding money for a videotape of him and his mistress. Gee, that sounds like the basic plot that goes on in this film, but with none of the characters or similar situations.
The plot that was supposed to be the plot that ended up not being the plot?
Exactly. I'm just confirming if it's actually released by... Yeah, this one was released, 52 Pickup, would be released by Canon Films.
So it looks like we'll be covering that at some point.
Yep, in 1986.
So next season then, because that's 86. Well, that should be interesting.
Yep, so we'll be back to that one.
Then I'm definitely glad we covered this one. That'll be an interesting episode when we get to it.
Yep.
But as for this particular episode, I don't think we have anything else to add to...
There's nothing much you can say more about this.
So we'll see you next time, folks, when we continue our cruise through the Canon catalog. I'm JD.
And as usual, I am Randy.
And we will see you next time.